Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there and certainly having yourselves a fantastic start to your day and a great week out there so far. Thank you all for tuning in this morning as we try to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for your neck of the woods for today. And then towards the end of the video, we'll give you some new information about what's coming up. We made a very long video last night speaking on what's to come towards the end of this week into this weekend. We have a coastal low that's going to affect areas of the eastern U.S., especially the Northeast, but even bring a lot of rain as it begins to develop off the coast of the Southeast areas of Florida. So we'll speak on that again in the coming videos and get you guys covered. But we also spoke on what's to come for Thanksgiving week. Of course, we don't know the exact details. There's nothing worth really calling a forecast right now just because we're trying to still figure some things out. But if you live in the eastern U.S., things are trending to more so below average temperatures for some time during Thanksgiving week. Is it going to be right in the beginning? Is it going to be all of it? Is it going to be more so kind of the weekend after Thanksgiving? But regardless, there's going to be a lot of people traveling next week, as we all know, heading to the grandparents' house, your parents' house, whatever it may be. Certainly a highly traveled week next week. So we'll continue to figure it out, fine-tune the details for you folks, and get you guys covered. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. My cat has decided to make another visit to this video, as you can tell right there. That's Kylo, a little black blob on your screen here. So if you see any movement, that is a cat. So with that being said, let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So we still got a lot of moisture down here in the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the white color that indicates more moisture in the atmosphere. There's a surface low that continues to try to develop down here. It's kind of lost in the mix, right? It's not really attached to a trough or anything. It's kind of a cutoff low, if you will. And eventually it will attach to a trough that will most likely kind of reinforce or dig back down into the northeast, somewhere down here, kind of reinforce that cold air that was really kind of in the area yesterday. But you're waking up to still very cold temperatures, especially up in Maine this morning. So as another trough digs down, this will continue to kind of meander eastward. And this will eventually be picked up and then move this way, and then could turn into a pretty powerful low pressure. We talked about it in great detail in last night's video, so check that out. Not a whole lot has changed, but of course we'll continue to fine-tune that. But this area will eventually make its way across Florida and then become stronger off the coast of the Southeast, and then continue to move north or northeast, or just in general up or off the coastline of the eastern U.S. So that will continue to be a pretty big topic in the weather. Well, we have some moisture that continues to make its way into the western U.S. Not a whole lot, definitely nothing compared to what we've seen over the last several days, but we have some moisture heading to southern areas of California here in the next day or so, and we'll speak more on that in the coming videos. But today, it'll really more so just be northern California into Oregon, but not a whole lot of moisture. The middle of the country continues to, just do a check mark, continues to be pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on. But I do suspect some things will change here in the coming days. But we'll get this off your screen and we'll go on and look at what's actually falling on the surface out there. There's that rain. I'll have to get this in motion again. There's that rain moving into the northern California coastline out west. Not a ton of it, some light to moderate rain moving onshore. And then we got a lot of moisture that's just confined to kind of the Gulf of Mexico. Some of this is falling in the form of some light to moderate rain, really tucked into the coastline, like if you live in Gulfport, Mobile. A little bit of rain around the area this morning, not a ton. I did read a comment, have not had a chance to read the comments from last night's video, but I did read a comment that basically said, you know, they were talking about all this rain for us, and we have not, you know, seen near as much rain as what they were calling for. And I agree with you guys. You know, I was thinking we were going to get inches of rain for some of these areas, and we have certainly not seen that. Now, we have seen rain. We'll take it. But I'm telling you guys, every little bit helps. And with an El Nino setting up, pretty strong El Nino, we are going to break this drought this winter. And in fact, we might get into a surplus. So just hang tight. We got more rains coming, even though this system isn't adding up to maybe a whole lot at least we're getting some rain. I do expect some areas to get inch and a half of rain today along the Gulf coastline. We'll speak on that here in a second. But all this moisture will continue to make its way over Florida. We do continue to have some scattered snow showers out there. Yesterday's event was a little bit of an overachiever. Had some flakes flying around pretty close to Boston. Might have even had some flakes in the Boston region. A coating of snow for certain areas that even I wasn't expecting a coating of snow in. So, sometimes that happens, but hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're a snow fan, I know there's probably not as many snow fans up north as there is in the south, just because you see it all the time. But anyways, the weather's going to do what the weather's going to do. The middle of the country continues to be pretty quiet, and it will continue to be quiet for at least the next couple of days. There is a risk of some thunderstorms along the Gulf coastline, including southeast Louisiana, all the way into extreme western sections of Florida, the panhandle of Florida. Some thunderstorms are possible down here in the southern sections of Florida, also the southern peninsula. So with a surface low beginning to deepen, you're going to have some thunderstorm development down here, but most of it will stay in the Gulf of Mexico. And yeah, if you're look at the radar in Mobile or New Orleans today, you'll probably see some pretty hefty thunderstorms off the coastline, but a lot of them will not make their way inland. But no risk of severe weather. I don't think we've had a slight risk, level 2 out of 5, since like September. So it's been quiet as far as severe weather. It really has been. As far as flash flooding, not a risk of it today. That may begin to change as we get into the next couple of days, though. But today, not a big risk of it, below 5%. Therefore, it does not show on the map here. Watches and warnings still continues to be pretty quiet. Got some wind advisories up here in Minnesota, winter weather advisories up here in western Montana. And there is, continues to be, what is that? That is, I think, some coastal flood warnings in the area. And we even have some flood watches in areas of Florida. So some coastal flood warnings. Make sure I got that right. I believe I had that right. Yeah, coastal flood warnings. Kind of in the coastal regions, Louisiana and Mississippi. Don't want to say the wrong thing there, but most of the rest of the country, guys, nothing. It is quiet. Calm before the storm. We'll find out soon enough. But as far as the forecast for the southeast today, we got some pretty powerful thunderstorms off the coastline right next to this low pressure. And, this has been a really slow mover, but it will continue to move east, and I think it's going to get a move on today. But kind of on the northern fringe of this low pressure, you're going to just have light to at times moderate rain throughout the morning hours, anywhere from Louisiana, Gulfport, Mobile, maybe all the way to Tallahassee at the same time. Maybe some much needed rainfalls somewhere around the Tampa Bay area. Points east will have kind of a round of showers that makes its way through. Could have some thunderstorms in southern sections of Florida down here. Okay, so could have some thunderstorm development down here. All right. Maybe Fort Myers could see a thunderstorm later today. And this big blob of moisture continues to make its way eastward and will start to take over or move into sections, not really take over, move into sections of southwest Georgia. Rain could make it all the way up to Birmingham later this evening. But most of the heaviest rain as we're getting into this evening stays in the panhandle of Florida, southern sections of Alabama, places like that. And this continues just to push a lot of moisture into this region. And then we're getting all the way into Wednesday morning. Still is raining in a lot of these areas. It's just, you're not getting an inch of rain every 3 hours or anything like that. Maybe, a tenth of an inch of rain every hour. It's just a steady, light to at times moderate rain. And honestly, this is the best kind of rain. You don't want it to just pour, be a torrential downpour for 12 hours straight. It's going to cause a lot of runoff just because these areas have not seen a lot of rain. But as we're getting into tomorrow, and we're going to look ahead, look at those thunderstorms tucked into the northeast area of the Gulf of Mexico. This is when the rain really begins to take over, especially tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, begins to take over Florida. And this is when a lot of heavy rain could fall into this region. The entire state of Florida, really. So we'll speak more on that here in the coming video, but this is when the rain really begins to escalate for Florida, and we could have some flash flooding issues, especially for eastern Florida. So rainfall for the Gulf coastline, the deep south, between now and the next 24 hours. If you're way out here in southeast Louisiana, the coastal regions out here, the swamp regions, 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible. Somebody could get 4 inches of rain. Gulfport and Mobile, 1 to as much as 2 inches of rain possible. So I think that comment was from somebody from Mobile. I think you'll get a good bit of rain today. I mean, it'll just be a steady rain. And then the rain will begin to add up in the western panhandle of Florida. But if you keep this going all the way through, I think this takes us through Thursday evening, right? Even more rain adding up, especially starting to add up further east. And then rain is starting to, add up even a little bit further north in Alabama, southwest Georgia. Now we move to our folks in Florida. If there's anybody that needs the rain the most, like I said, it's around the Tampa Bay area. You guys really need it. And unfortunately, the western sections of Florida look to be an area that probably sees the least amount of rain. I can't speak this morning. The least amount of rain. But you guys certainly look to at least see some rain. But this is between now and Thursday morning. I mean, Miami, South Florida, 3 to 5 inches of rain from this. This is going to really move over your area and then really strengthen over your area, especially off the coast of Florida, and really deliver a lot of rain for you folks. Hopefully we can get more rain than what this is showing. This is only throwing, a little over a half an inch for the Tampa Bay area between now and the next 48 hours. And if you take this all the way out to Friday morning, I mean, it looks like, man, it just kind of stinks. It just looks like that the weather is deliberately putting the least amount of rain for you guys around this area of western Florida. Let's hope that maybe this fills in and maybe you guys get more rain than what this is showing, because you need the rain in western Florida. You certainly do. So you continue to move northeast. We'll continue to deal with these snow showers in Vermont and New Hampshire throughout the morning hours. In fact, you look at the radar right now at the region, if it'll pull up, you even got some snow being reported around the Portland, Maine area. You had some snow reports up here in central Vermont and New Hampshire earlier. But all this is rain down here in Connecticut. But you're probably getting a little bit of flake action here in central Mass also. But you continue to make your way further into the morning, into the afternoon hours, and maybe some lingering showers are possible in eastern Mass. Maybe a flake or two up here in the Adirondacks. But outside of that, guys, maybe some showers linger around in southeast Mass, the Cape Cod region, Martha's Vineyard, places like that. But, outside of that, it's a pretty quiet day in the Northeast. Definitely not going to get the kind of burst of moderate to heavy snow that you were seeing yesterday morning and afternoon, evening. So much quieter day today. The south central U.S., most of the moisture is heading on out. Some lingering light rain as possible for Louisiana. And certainly going to get some light rain as far north as, maybe even Memphis. But I think central to southern Mississippi, you're going to be dealing with the light rain today. We kind of talked about Louisiana already too. You guys will be dealing with some light to moderate rain in southeast Louisiana. And this will continue to just kind of get pushed back into Louisiana, into this pretty much just low pressure, just completely heads and gets further east. You're going to deal with at times light to moderate rain throughout the day in central and southern and southeastern areas of Mississippi for sure. So it'll add up, a little bit, but not a ton, not a washout, but it'll seem like a washout just because you'll be dealing with it all day. But listen, the north central U.S. continues to be quiet. I was going over this video this morning and I was looking for like one little area blue, one little area green, and there is nothing. We'll start off this morning, nothing this morning, nothing this afternoon, this evening. You get into tonight, you get into tomorrow morning, you're talking about a quiet day up here. There is no precipitation, nothing. Some above average temperatures you're going to be dealing with, no precipitation, nothing. So very quiet day for you folks in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes region, and all of those great places. The western U.S., some rain. The HRRR model is actually not doing a very good job at picking up what's going on right now. But some more rain will move into the northern California coastline, where some rain will fall, some higher elevation snow in these higher mountains in northern Cal. And some of this rain will begin to enter southwest Oregon later this afternoon into this evening and affect areas of Eugene, Medford, Portland. You guys will get some rain shower activity. Nothing too crazy at all. But as we're waking up tomorrow morning, we could be greeted with some rain in the Los Angeles area, just kind of the southern California coastline. And then as we're moving deeper into tomorrow late morning, afternoon, you guys will finally get some widespread rains and southern areas of California. Ron, you're going to probably get some rain from this. I believe you said you live in San Diego. I think so. Hopefully I got that right. But you're going to get some rains from this. So definitely some beneficial rains are going to fall down here. You can always use the rain. I don't think you're in any kind of severe drought down here in California. You were last year, but you made up for it from all the moisture you got last fall and last winter. But you're certainly going to get some more rains that move in for tomorrow, but we'll speak on that more so for tomorrow morning's video. But it looks like, some of this could be heavy too. So temperatures, you're still locked into the cold in the Northeast. Probably not as cold as yesterday, but 20s. You're not going to get out the 20s for northern Maine. You're not going to get above freezing for you folks in the higher elevations of the mountains of the Northeast. It's going to be a chilly day all the way down to Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio. But once you start to make your way west, you start to get into the 60s in the Midwest and much more comfortable conditions, well above average. Enjoy these temperatures because, eventually you're going to get locked into some very cold temperatures that every winter brings up here, regardless if it's above or below average. A nice day in the Southeast, kind of a tick above average, but typical November kind of stuff down here. 60s and 70s for highs. Nice day in Texas in the middle of the country. You look out west, and general above average temperatures out west. Nice day in California before the rain moves in tomorrow, but nothing too extreme one way or the other out here. You look at an update on the tropics, and let's see if we have another update. Yep, 7 a.m. So we're still at a 70% chance of this developing into vents or a tropical depression, which wouldn't be a named storm. We're watching this area down here. I've kind of been mentioning it a couple times throughout the last several videos. I think the worst case scenario you get out of this is a tropical storm, a weak tropical storm. That's my take on it. Could be wrong. But the greater Antilles just need to watch out. Areas of Cuba, it's already bringing a lot of rains to areas of Central America, but Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti, you guys are probably going to get a lot of rain from this regardless. Some gusty winds, but hurricane force conditions, I really don't see it. I really don't. But, you look at the latest GFS, and as we're getting into the latter part of this week, you start to get a better looking low pressure, but you would argue this one off the coast of the Southeast looks better than this down here. But this is bringing some heavy rains, especially I would say for eastern sections of Jamaica. It starts to bring a lot of heavy rains for the Dominican Republic, just the greater Antilles in general. Okay, and by the time we get to the end of the weekend, this thing is heading on out, and we're done. And we're clearing out for the Caribbean. So looks like you just got a messy few days ahead of you, some gusty winds, some heavy rains. Nothing I don't think you guys can't handle, but it could bring some flash flooding, especially for the higher elevations of these islands. So looking ahead, guys, I made a pretty long video last night, so check that out. It did better than what the evening videos typically do, so I appreciate you folks tuning in. But guys, the system that moves in later this weekend will bring some cold air behind it. So I think we'll have a colder into this weekend, below average temperatures for the eastern U.S., above average temperatures for the western U.S. But, they were kind of getting reinforced into early next week, okay? And then we might have kind of a break, Monday into Tuesday, where, the central portion of the country might briefly warm back up. But I really think as we get into next week, if you live in the eastern U.S., especially the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, I think you're locked into some below average temperatures. But as we get closer to Thanksgiving, a lot of folks say that, the day before Thanksgiving is the most highly traveled day of the year. This is when below average temperatures really begin to settle in for the South and the eastern U.S. Okay, and then we get all the way to Thanksgiving Day. And, this is right in the middle of the day, Thanksgiving Day, and we're waking up this morning still with the ensemble guidance showing below average temperatures for the central and eastern U.S. Okay, and this is getting all the way into, our Black Friday or just the day after Thanksgiving. Below average temperatures could be a chilly day for some shopping, that's for sure. And then we get into the weekend, and it continues to show below average temperatures. Okay. You look at the European ensemble, same thing. A chilly start to next week. Maybe a period right before, the day. For example, the European ensemble is a little different. It shows, that Tuesday into Wednesday of next week being above average temperatures for areas of the eastern U.S., but it's quickly replaced by almost what looks like a cold front that sweeps through into Thanksgiving with below average temperatures. So we still got a lot to figure out is what I'm trying to say. We do. But, this is Thanksgiving. The European ensemble is more centered towards the central portion and the high plains to be below average. It is starting to look like the western U.S. is almost not a sure bet, but a good bet of above average temperatures. You'll have above average temperatures for your Thanksgiving. But trying to figure out where the coldest air is going to be. Is it going to be the central, eastern, or both for Thanksgiving is a tough one. And, we start to get into Friday morning, and it's starting to look like, the morning after Thanksgiving or even Thanksgiving morning, it's going to be a very cold one for certain areas. We need to fine tune that, and of course we will. But it looks like the colder than average temperatures kind of linger around all the way through the last couple of days of November. So I expect the Climate Prediction Center forecast to change today. We'll see what happens. Now, what kind of weather? What's the latest runs from overnight? I think we will have some lake effect snows off Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie. Are we going to have anything off Lake Michigan, Lake Superior? We could. Depends on what kind of energy flies over. You guys are really locked in. I think it could be kind of a wintry week for the Northeast next week. Does that mean it's going to snow all week for the big cities? No. I think it's going to be cold. Some flakes could be flying around for the interior sections. So what happens as we get into the middle part of next week? Well, we have a system based off the Euro that flies through areas of the upper Midwest. Like, for example, you stop it here. This is next Tuesday morning. We got snow flying around in Wisconsin, moving into Michigan, and then we got snow into Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and then we're getting into Wednesday morning. And, you're cold enough for snow almost all the way to Boston and New York City for next Wednesday morning. But, guys, this is over a week out. Okay, a little bit of northwestern flow setting up. If you're going to be in the mountains and the higher elevations, it could be wintry next week. A lot of people go to the mountains for Thanksgiving. I've done it. It's a great place to go for Thanksgiving time. It really is. It really sets the mood, in my opinion. I did it a couple years ago and absolutely loved it. But, the GFS, you get a big shot of cold air behind this. This kickstarts the lake effect snows again for the Great Lakes region. And we got a lot of heavy snow flying, off lake, just the typical lakes, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, all the Great Lakes region. This is Wednesday afternoon. A lot of people are traveling. And you can have a lot of snow flying around up here. It's very possible. And you could have an all-out winter storm up in Maine ongoing. We need to figure this one out, okay? But it does show once you get into Thanksgiving Day, a little bit of quieter conditions, just a cold day. And then what happens after that, we got to figure it out. We could have another system next weekend, but that's way on out. Now, what's the European show? Okay? The European is much warmer based off the European just operational run. Much warmer storm moves through. The cold air is not connecting. We'll stop it here. This is next Tuesday afternoon. Just a good old rainstorm for a lot of folks traveling. People will be traveling in and out of this, through this, into this, whatever it may be. But this is, the 21st, Tuesday, big travel day also, I'm sure. And, you would have to watch for some thunderstorms down here along the Gulf Coast with a low pressure tracking right in the middle of the country. And then we start to get into Wednesday morning. Just looks like a washout for the entire eastern U.S. And then some cold air moves in behind it. And you could have cold air about to drop down into Thanksgiving Day. And this is Thanksgiving evening. It looks like, you got a lot of moisture bubbling up from the Gulf of Mexico. So the models differ. They really do, guys. I'm still going to stick to my guns and say we're going to have some sort of I'm not going to say huge storm system Thanksgiving week, but some sort of storm system that is going to, impact weather, and I know some people are like, well, Mitch, that's not really a bold prediction. We have a storm system almost every week. Well, I think it could be something a little bit, I guess you would say, above average. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. That is the first video in like a week and a half that I've been able to just jump on and not have to start over. I did not have to start that video over one time. So maybe something about my cat that's good luck. Ain't that right, Kylo? All right, he's asleep. So, all right, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.